define the equilibrium price in a market? Now, it is a price of a product at the point of equilibrium where demand is equals to the supply. This price is known as the equilibrium price. Why? Because the supply is equals to the demand. How do you know that? How do we know that the supply is equals to the demand? Look at this quantity supplied or quantity demanded. It is 7. Right at this point, the producers are supplying 7 products, and then the consumers are demanding 7 products. There is a balance. That point is market equilibrium, and the price is equilibrium price. So this is how we use the demand and supply to determine the price of a product, to determine a reasonable price for a particular product. Now, in a market, we can also experience 2 things: the surplus as well as the shortage. In the market, we also experience 2 things. We can experience the surplus, we can also experience the shortage. Now, how do we experience these things? What is the surplus? What is the shortage? And when does these occur, or when do we experience these conditions? Now, a surplus, it occurs above market equilibrium point. This you must know for the final examination. Now, the surplus, it occurs when the quantity of products supplied exceeds quantity demanded. And this is always above the market equilibrium point. This is the market equilibrium point where there is a balance at price what? Price 2. Now we have price 1 as well as price 1 as well as price 3. Right here. Above equilibrium, there will always be a surplus. And below, there will always be a shortage. Now, let us start with how we experience the surplus or the exceeds, when the quantity supplied exceeds the quantity demanded. And how do you see that? Now, let's just say we have 5, 10, and then 15. Now, at price 1, let's just say this price we have 10, 20, and then 30. Let's just say the product is costing 30 rand. This shows that the price for this product is high. Now, when the price is high, the consumers will only demand 5 products. When the price is 30 rand, the consumers will only demand 5 products. But when it comes to the supply, when the price is 30 rand, the producers will supply 15 products. So this shows that there is no balance in the market. The demand will be 5, but the product supplied will be 15, of which tells us that we are experiencing what? Learners, the surplus. The quantity supplied exceeds the quantity demanded. Why? Because of the price. The price is high. So the consumers are not willing to pay higher prices for these products. As a result, they will demand less, while the producers will supply more because it works for them. And this situation is above market equilibrium when the price is high. Now, let's look at price 3. When the price of a product is 10 rand, under or below market equilibrium point. Now, below or under market equilibrium point, we always experience the shortage. The shortage, it occurs when the quantity of product supplied is less than the quantity demanded. This always occurs when the price of a product is low. Now, when the price in the market is 10 rand, let's look at the supply curve. The producers will only supply 5 products. The consumers will only supply 5 products. And then the consumers will only demand how much? 15 products. Meaning the quantity supplied is less than the quantity demanded. Because of the price is low. Consumers buy, or they want to buy, or they demand more when the price is low, while suppliers supply less because the price is low. Above market equilibrium, there will always be the surplus. Below or under market equilibrium, there will always be the shortage. Why? Because there is no balance between the parties involved. Now, when experiencing the oversupply or the surplus, how can a farmer prevent or overcome the condition of surplus? Firstly, by processing agricultural product. Where you will have an orange, you process it into orange juice or into dried fruits. Right. Secondly, you can store for the next season, or you can start spreading sales. Right. The last one, we can export to other countries where we'll sell these agricultural products to other countries. That is exporting. So these are the ways of overcoming oversupply of agricultural products. When consumers demand less, while suppliers are supplying more agricultural products. Now let us look at this activity 2, of which will test us on the market equilibrium, where we are experiencing the balance in the market. Welcome back, learners. Let us look at our activity 2 of the day based on market equilibrium, or rather, price determination. The graph below shows the equilibrium price for a particular product. Analyze the graph and answer the questions that follow. You analyze the graph and answer the questions that follow. 2.1, identify curve A and B, 2 marks. Now our curve A will be the demand. There's no need of even writing demand curve because already on the question it is indicated that this is a curve or these are curves. Right? A, it is the demand. B, the supply. 1 for demand, 1 for supply, 2 marks. At all times for the examination, it's either you will draw the supply or demand curves, or you will need to identify them. Define the term represented by E. Now, this is our E, right? Our E, it represents the equilibrium price, the price where supply is equals to the demand for 2 marks. Now, how do we allocate marks? Price where the supply equals to the demand, 2 marks. Explain the relationship between price and the quantity demanded. That takes us back to the demand law. What does the demand law say? Now explain the relationship between price and the quantity demanded. Now, the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. Or the lower the price, the higher the quantity demanded. Why? Because they are inversely proportional. When the other one increases, the other one decreases. That is the demand law. Now, let us look at again 2.4. Name 2 factors that affect curve A. Name 2 factors that affect curve A. Now, curve A, we said it is the demand. Now, it is the price that can affect curve A. Festive season, people demand more product when it is festive season because they've received bonuses, right? Income spending, change in preference, number of consumers, the research. The last one is the quality of product. So these are the factors that affect or influence the demand or the quantity demanded or the number of products that are demanded. Now let us move to our price elasticity. Now, when determining the price, it was the demand and supply affecting the price. Now, when it comes to price elasticity, it's a different story. Now, price elasticity, we look at the relationship between the price and supply or demand. The price as it relates to the supply or as it relates to the demand, or the price as it affects or influence the supply or influence the demand. Now, price elasticity, it indicates how a price affects the demand or supply. Market equilibrium, it is the demand and supply affecting the price. But now it is the price affecting the supply or demand. How do consumers respond when the price is high? How do suppliers respond when the price is low? That is the price affecting the supply or the demand. Now, the most important things here to take note of, it is the calculation. Firstly, you must understand the formula. How to calculate the price elasticity, whether price elasticity of demand or price elasticity of supply. We are looking at how the price is affecting the demand or supply. When it was March, the price of a product was 20 Rand. And then in April, it changed to 60 Rand. How did consumers respond to the change in price? How do producers respond to the change in price? That is what we are looking for when we are dealing with price elasticity. Now, the price elasticity is calculated as follows. Price elasticity is equals to the percentage change in supply if you are dealing with supply, or percentage change in demand if you are dealing with demand, divided by percentage change in price. Now, after obtaining the results, because the figures you will be provided with, after obtaining the result, you are expected to interpret the results. Now, how do you interpret? Now, when your answer, let's just say your answer is above 1, that is price elasticity. How do you interpret that as a grade 12 learner doing agricultural sciences, preparing for the final examination? You will then say, when the answer is above 1, that is price elasticity. What does that tell us? It tells us that the change in price resulted to a massive, a huge or major change in demand or supply. If you are dealing with demand, you just write demand. If you are dealing with supply, you just write supply. Price elasticity of supply. This is how you answer. This is how you interpret. Now, what happens when the answer is below 1 or is less than 1? You have experienced price inelasticity. Interpretation of those results. A change in price resulted to little or no change in demand or supply. A change in price resulted to little or no change in demand or supply. There was price inelasticity. Now you should be able to identify these even in a graph form. If you are provided with a graph, you must be able to identify these. Now let's look at these graphs. Now firstly, let us deal with the price elasticity of demand. Remember what we said? We say the demand curve is always facing downward, of which indicates that the price is inversely proportional to the demand. When the other one increases, the other one decreases. Now, let's look at these for price elasticity as well as price inelasticity. Now, graph number 1, this one. There is price elasticity of demand. Why? Right here, we have a change in price. Let's just say this was price number 1 and this was price number 2, meaning there was a change in price of a product. This costed maybe 10 Rand and a price for a product changed and it increases maybe into 50 Rand. Now let's look at how consumers respond to the change of price. The consumers responded. Some, they stopped buying the product because it is now expensive. Some continued. So how do you know that this is an elasticity? You look at this gap right here. When it is compared with this one is bigger than the other one. There was a change in price, very little change in price. It resulted to a massive change in demand, a major change in demand, a huge change in demand. Why? Because you look at this space right here. It is different from this one. There was price elasticity. Now, this one here is price inelasticity. How do you know that this is price inelasticity? There was price number 1 of a product. Let's just say it was 10 Rand. And then a price increases to 100 Rand. Now let's look at how that increase in price affected the demand. There was just a slightly or no change in demand. A huge change in price resulted to little or no change in demand. So this is how you identify price elasticity of demand or price inelasticity of demand. Always remember that the graph or the demand curve is always facing downward. This indicates elasticity. This indicates inelasticity. Now let us move to price elasticity of supply. Now, price elasticity of supply. Let us start with the price inelasticity. How a change in price affects the supply. Now, let us look at these right here. Now, we had price number 1 and price number 2. When there was a slight change in price, how did the supply respond to this change? Let's just look at this gap. This gap tells us there was a massive change in supply. A change in price resulted to a major or a huge change in supply. Producers responded massively. But when we look at this one right here, this is price inelasticity. Why? Price 1, price 2. There was a huge change in price. But how did the producers respond? It is just a little response. So a change in price resulted to little or no change in supply. So this is how you identify price elasticity of supply or price inelasticity of supply for the final examination. Now let us look at our activity number 3. I'll just give you for like 4 or 5 minutes to complete the exercise, and then we will be back for more remedials. Welcome back, learners. Now let us look at our remedials. Let us look on how to answer this question for the final examination. Use the information and formula below to calculate the price elasticity of product 1 and product 2 for the period between August 2014 and December 2016. Now here we have percentage change in price for product 1 and product 2, percentage change in supply for product 1 and product 2. Now 3.2, interpret the price elasticity of supply for product 1 and product 2. Now let's get into the remedials. Now 3.1, you are expected to calculate the price elasticity of product 1 and product 2. Remember, we are dealing with the supply here, not the demand. Demand is excluded, but we are looking at the supply. Now, how do you calculate? Now, firstly, we have the product 1, of which is the percentage change in supply and the percentage change in price. Now, firstly, the formula, right? How do we calculate price elasticity? Let me just say PE, price elasticity, is equals to percentage change in supply divided by the percentage change in price is equals to. Now, for product 1, we are dealing with product 1 here. Now, for product 1, we will say 13% divided by 100%, of which will give us, may I please have the calculator? Now, you will say 13% divided by 100%. And the answer for that question will be 0.13 without any units. Remember, the percentages cancel each other. So there will be no units. There are no units in price elasticity. So this one is for product one. Now for product two, it is the same thing. The formula, and you substitute. Now for product one, 108% divided by 100% is equals to 108 divided by 100, and that will give us 1.08. Now from here, after calculating, you need to give the implication. You need to interpret which one is price elastic and which one is price inelastic. Remember, we said when the answer is below 1 inelastic, when it is above 1 price elastic. Now, product one, judging from these results, product one is inelastic. Why? Because the answer is less than 0.3 or 0. Sorry, it is product one is inelastic. Why? The answer is less than 1. Meaning a change in price resulted to little on a change in demand. Sorry, in supply, not demand, in supply. Now for product two, it is elastic. Why? The answer is above 1, of which tells us that a change in price resulted to a massive or huge change in supply. So this is how you interpret the results for the final examination when it comes to price elasticity and inelasticity. Now, the last activity, of which is activity 4, also based on price elasticity and inelasticity. I will just give you about 4 minutes for this one, and then we'll come back for more remedials. Now, activity 4 says, analyze the two graphs right here. The two graphs and answer the questions that follow. 4.1, identify the graph A or B that represents each of the following. A, price inelasticity of demand. B, price elasticity of demand. Now, for price inelasticity of demand, the answer will be B. Why? Because a change in price resulted to little or no change in demand. But we'll answer that for the next question. But just for now, graph B is inelastic. And then graph A is elastic. Now the question says, give a reason for the answer to question 4.1A and 4.1B for 2 marks. Now, graph B is inelastic because a change in price resulted to no or little change in demand. That is the answer. Right, graph A is elastic because a change in price resulted to a massive or huge change in demand. So this is how you should answer for the final examination. Price elasticity comes in different forms, in a graph form, or in where you're expected to calculate, or you will just provide it with 2 tables with the same product with different prices. You must know how to identify and how to interpret your results just to score yourself marks. Remember, we are getting those level 7s we are getting those level 6 and 5s, and we need less of level 2 and level 3, and we need no level 1. Now, on our today's lesson, learners, we covered more about price determination that includes supply and demand law, helping us to determine the price that a consumer is willing to pay for a particular product. Right? We also discovered market equilibrium that is held by the demand and the supply laws working together to determine the equilibrium price. Right? We also looked at the price elasticity. We looked at how the price affects the supply or the demand. Now, on our next lesson, we'll focus more on agricultural marketing as just introducing, right, difference between selling and marketing, agricultural marketing functions, as well as the development of a market, right? That also includes, right, different types of consumers or buyers that will be discussed when we come back on our next lesson. Now, thank you so much for tuning in and for watching the lesson. We'll see each other or on our next lesson. Stay blessed. Goodbye.